gonna start now. Hi, everyone. My name is Ian Sebastian. I'm actually going to present today's session. It's going to be full of information. I'm hoping that you can get a lot out of that. So I'm going to quickly also we're going to have a poll also, and it's just coming up right now. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to provide information about our Western Sydney University campus, based in a place called Surabaya, which is basically the second largest city in Indonesia. Before I start, I'm actually going to introduce Namrata Anand, our regional director from South Asia. So any students looking at an agent looking at obviously chatting with Namrata, you can. And also we got Kapil. So Kapil is our senior manager, also based in South Asia. We've also got a panel. It's interesting. It's great to have a panel. Vidya Surangani, Samrudi Pujari, and Sharapova Teo. These are our student ambassadors. They have been in our campus from the start. They are our pilot students. They actually started with us when we first opened last year in September. So Western Sydney University, before also I go on, just make sure that if you like to ask some questions, please go into the Q&A rather than the chat. So just try and put as much questions as possible. We will endeavor to answer as much as we can. We'll either answer those questions live, or our panel of student ambassadors will respond accordingly to your questions. Please do ask lots of questions. We do want to make it an interactive session so we can get as much out of it as possible. I know there's lots and lots of questions that international students do ask. Our Indonesia campus is really new. It's a transnational campus that was opened in September last year. So it's a new campus. It's an established Western Sydney first international branch campus. And Surabaya was chosen intentionally based on a combination of factors, and that includes it's strategically located. It's obviously academically an international university with an Australian degree that is located in Surabaya, and also economic factors. Now, why Surabaya? So essentially, Surabaya is a great city to live. It's got all the environment that we as a university were looking for. So it's the second largest city, as mentioned. It's key commercial and industrial center in Southeast Asia. It's a gateway to Eastern Indonesia and obviously expanding our student reach across the ASEAN region. And that includes, South Asia, includes Southeast Asia, and also includes North Asia. So, East Java does have a large student population, and it does demand high quality international education. So we're the first university, an Australian first university located in the eastern part of Java. So why it's strategic also, it does boast the great infrastructure. So excellent rail network. It also has direct flights from across the region. And that includes direct flights from cities like Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, even Penang and Bangkok. So it does have, obviously a lot of the excellent and direct connections by flight. And also it has a beautiful, really great rail network that takes you across cities. I know even our chancellor took our train from Surabaya to Jakarta because she said it was really comfortable, our chancellor. So essentially, it's a really good in terms of efficiency across not only Indonesia but also across internationally. It is an economic hub of East Java. It's also a modern city, industrial city, and it serves as a critical economic and trade center. Not sure you know this, but we are actually it's an economy that's growing rapidly, and it's even the sixth largest economy, surpassing Hanoi. Vietnam. As you know, Vietnam is growing rapidly. So it's one of the busiest trading ports in Asia. It's also an innovation hub, right? So essentially, what it does, it has a center for the innovation, creativity, and technology. So a lot of startups. It supports development around retail, and it's also got the focus of our programs. It really aligns, our programs really aligns, and I'll tell you a bit about the programs in a minute. It aligns with the growth, Indonesia's growth sectors. So the programs that we have are very focused on areas like technology, analytics, data. It also has AI. So we don't have AI, but these programs kind of really reflect and connect around the smart manufacturing hubs that is growing in Surabaya. So the supporting the development of the local government and development sectors, but also providing the international and global innovation that is in Indonesia. Indonesia has 270 million. It's a large population. Surabaya has a large population. It's the second largest, but it's also one of the greenest and most sustainable part of Indonesia. So Surabaya is known for its commitment to environment, which is kind of reflects Western Sydney's goals. We want to make an impact. We are part of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, 3 years in a row. So we're number one, right? So that's something that we really are committed to. And we picked a city, we selected a city that actually kind of reflects our goals, and that includes the commitment around environment sustainability. It is has earned as one of Asia's cleanest cities, and it's ranked as, in terms of Indonesia as a whole, it's a clean city, clean air city. So the city also is very multicultural, and that is also reflects on our university campus. So we have students from all across Indonesia. 40% of our students actually come from outside Surabaya. We also have international students, and that's the reason why we're promoting this session to all international students, so that there will be interest to come and study with us here. It's also tour. It's a very touristy part of Surabaya. It's actually a really close proximity to Bali, and also certain gateways across iconic natural attractions, Indonesia. The safety part, I think a lot of international students have this question about, is Surabaya safe? Surabaya is a safe city. It's literally basically a place where is has low to moderate crime. It has, but obviously you got to be mindful of, obviously, particularly around at night, but it's generally safe during the day, and be more mindful during the night. But it has also a very stable political environment. And one of the reasons why we picked Surabaya was because it's the local government support and the political stability in the eastern part in Surabaya. So generally a very friendly population. And most of our students, our three international students particularly, have mentioned that they really like the city, and they're really enjoying the friendliness and the natural environment they live in. Transport, generally, public transport is not really reliable, and most of our students actually take, obviously, equivalent to Uber, if you call it in India or in any other parts of Asia. We call it Grab in Indonesia. So it's a preferable part of transportation is taking a taxi or Grab. Um, Essentially, why Western? So Western Sydney basically is is a world-class educational standard international university that essentially fully delivers our programs, certain programs. So it has a world-class education standard. So the university degree that you get in with Western on completion of a 3-year degree and a 2-year master's is essentially a degree, an Australian degree. So it's not a Western Sydney Indonesia degree, Western Sydney Australian degree. So it's actually mirrors what you get in Australia. So, but with an affordable touch, affordable factor. So it's cost effective. It's an affordable tuition fee, living costs at the same quality. So we want to have the university to our students, accessible to our students an affordable part of our tuition fee. And I'll go through a bit more on the tuition fees in a minute. The grading also in is the time effectiveness of this degree. Australian degrees are 3 years. Indonesian degrees are 4 years. So that's also a shorter duration. So you can actually complete our degree in 3 years, which is exactly the same duration in Australia. It's globally recognized. It has the accreditation, both both for the business degree and also for the technical degree. I'll tell you a bit about the accreditation in a minute. But the great thing is the incentives, the affordability of the fees, and that includes international fees, and also the affordability of the scholarships that you get, and also the great thing about it is the international flexibility of studying in our campus. So that means the campus transfers, and I'll talk a bit about more that in detail. But in a nutshell, our point of difference is essentially we are an international degree, and affordable. We are in a city that is sustainable and safe, is reasonably safe, and also it's affordable in a sense in so many different ways, and particularly around living cost. So and you get to be able to transfer. Now let's go into the flexibility into our pathway towards transferring to Australia. So I know a lot of international students. We do know that a lot of international students want to have that international experience, and the international experience is where we come down to this part. So we've put together a program that students can come to study in Australia, in through a mobility program transfer, or being able to complete their degree in Australia. So you start your academic journey at Western Sydney University, Indonesia, and you unlock the opportunities to continue your studies in Australia. That's the other key thing, because students do want to have a bit of an international experience. And what we're saying to you is come to an affordable place and stay in Surabaya. You can stay in Surabaya at a shorter time, or you can stay at a longer or complete a degree and possibly come to Australia to do your master's, but there's flexibility. So that helps you make your global dream, education dream, become a reality through this pathway, right? Now, semester mobility program. We just literally launched it. So we're really excited. We are excited because it gives students a chance to be able to also come to Australia and not pay Australian fees. So students can do a semester transfer and they pay their current, let me say it again, we pay their current fees in Indonesia rupiah, not in Australian dollars, and with no additional fees so essentially paying their current fees, and it comes to Australia for a semester. Why we could do this is because our students are our students. So essentially, if they are in Indonesia, or if we have a TNE campus in India, they are our students, and they have the same privilege in terms of access to our mobility program. And we don't have restrictions in numbers. So students can come and do a mobility program in Australia. And the great kicker on this is they only pay in Indonesian rupiah. So the students successfully complete the subjects taught in Sydney will be awarded for that semester. So essentially, they come back and continue their studies on completion of the mobility. What's great about this also is we're giving scholarships. So if you're saying, hang on, it's going to cost me quite a bit to come to, how pricey it is, in terms of living in Sydney, the on-campus accommodation scholarships will help our students. And as I said, these students also get the access. Our students get the access to accommodation scholarships. It will cost around $170 per week. The accommodation is located in our on-campus accommodation outside Parramatta. So the closest probably accommodation that you could look at is Penrith. Penrith is about 50 minutes away from, if you take the train from our Parramatta campus, if you're studying in Parramatta. So generally, most of our students will study in Parramatta campuses. We have the C campus and the South campus. So that's a great thing because you get the scholarships. You only pay in Indonesian rupiah, and you get to experience and have an internet experience. Now, Western Sydney also offers generous financial assistance, and this is another thing that just brought in because you're a Western Sydney University student, you can also have access to not only subsidized accommodation, but also our grants. So we have this thing called Go Global Grant, It's a financial support to assist you and support you in everyday cost of living expenses. And you also have access to $1,750. Amazing, right? So the mobility program is something that we just brought in, that we also have students have access to it, including international students. So it's not only accessible to our domestic students, it's also accessible with international students, which is amazing. Now, the live-in also helps, and the great thing also is you will apply as a student visa under a student visa. So even though it's 6 months, and what happens when I mean, basically you with the student visa access, you also are allowed to work. So the student visa allows part-time work opportunities. So international students in Australia can work up to 48 hours per fortnight or 24 hours a week. So this is, and it's unlimited if it's unlimited during the holidays. So essentially this gets not only our academic experience, but also you get to work for a short period of time, 6 months, and also be able to experience Sydney's diverse culture and lifestyle, which is amazing. But to note also, if you study in Indonesia, you're not allowed to work. So this is only accessible to students who do mobility in Sydney, and they get the they get basically access to working. Now, brother, can you just go for the next slide? I just gotta. Okay, so we also join a vibrant community, and that also gives you that expands into the international experience. Flexible study options, so full 3 year duration in Western Sydney University, or if you are a student, you can also do a pathway. So the pathway will is essentially you have a 2 year degree, 2 years in Indonesia, or a 1 year in Australia, or a 1 year in Indonesia, or 2 years in Australia. So we recommend students who want to stay on in Australia, you need to if and also apply for post-working study visa, you need to do the 2 year program. So the 2 year program is where we've just actually formulated an automated package transfer for students. So every student now also, this has just recently launched, will be have access to our automated package transfer. So students, this will provide an affordable, flexible, globally recognized education pathway with visa-friendly timelines, particularly from South Asian countries. Students have essentially, if you successfully complete your first year of study and meet GTE compliance requirements, you will be able to proceed to Sydney campus. This is the package that we have now, that students who want to apply to Australia can do a 1 year and automatic 2 years in Sydney. So this is specifically a typical example of an offer letter that is automated. So students who do have met the requirements to get into our first year will have accessibility to having an automated package. So what it means basically is you can come in September, you finish your semester in June, July. Generally, most of the exams are completed in June, and then you can transfer straight into Australia by late July, early August. So it kind of seamlessly continues your transfer, uh, essentially within less than 6 months, essentially, because you start in September, you finish in June. So it's like, I would say, a fast track automated transfer where you complete first year and go straight into second and third year in Australia. So this is the other flexibility in terms of part. If you are keen, I'm actually going to get our student ambassadors more into this, because I think it's important for everyone to hear from them on the living cost part, because I think a lot of international students want to know whether it's affordable, and where do we, obviously in terms of living, in terms of cost, and maybe give a bit of a snippet on, maybe I'll start with Vidya and then Samruddhi on the living in Surabaya. But essentially, if you're a student in Surabaya, the living cost per month generally comes up to around $800. And if you do a comparison to Sydney, it's about 2,800. So this counters the argument about, you can't work in Surabaya. It is very affordable. And Vidya can give you a bit of perspective on the lower affordability because she lives in a safe place but affordable. And then maybe Samruri can talk a little bit about the middle tier cost where she's at, and also maybe talk a bit about, obviously access to food and shopping and all that kind of stuff. So I'll start with Vidya and then go to Samruri. Vidya, over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Vidya, and I'm actually not from Surabaya. I'm actually from an island called Lombok. If you've heard about it, it's near Bali. So, for my living here in Surabaya, as I don't have family, I rented a place. We called it a cost, but it's more like a dormitory where it's a house full of rooms, so like you can rent a room in that house. And it's really cheap, the lower tier. Me and Sharapova actually um both lived in this kind of place, the cost, and it's very affordable too. It's like it doesn't even reach 200 AUD a month. So we can save up for other needs such as food or the miscellaneous things. Yeah. That's for my living.
So maybe Samruddhi and Sharapova also give your perspective. So Samruddhi is from India. She's an international student. Just to let everyone know. So essentially, Samruddhi, over to you, and just tell us a bit about about the campus and what do you think.
Hello everyone, I'm Samruddhi. I'm from Pune, Maharashtra, India. So I live in the mid-tier, like apartment studio. So it costs me around 350 Australian dollars. And my overall living cost, like for a month, including food, travel, rent, everything, it's around 800 Australian dollar. And the campus, it's vibrant, modern. We have a lot of facilities and the staff is very friendly. So are the teachers. So overall, I feel like I'm at home here. Yeah, I think that's it.
Sharapova?
Yep. Hello everyone, my name is Sharapova, and I'm also living in a building full of rooms like Vidya. And for my accommodation, it cost me like 170 Australian dollars a month, and that is a really good cost because my place is actually quite close to the campus, so it's really easy to get to and from campus. And the campus is also really comfortable, I find. There are lots of places to just like sit around and relax and study. And I've been loving it so far. Feel free to ask any questions.
Sharapova, I'm going to ask maybe the three of you if you can open up. Also, want to talk about safety and want to talk about living in Surabaya. Just maybe give a little bit of a perspective on those 2 points, please.
Well, for safety and uh, it's been Surabaya is considered a really safe and advanced cities, one of the most advanced cities in Indonesia. So there's really no worry about that part. And even the traffic, the roads are it is even more like how do I say this? They're more uh they adhere more to regulations and the laws here. So yeah, there's no funny business or something like that.
Vidya?
I agree with Sharapova. Of course, when moving to a new city, that's the first thing that we're worried about. What our parents are worried about, how safe is it, and all that. But yeah, Surabaya, as the second biggest city in Indonesia, they're actually very known for their safety because like even at night there's still people going on and about, so it's never really quiet and never really dark because especially near the campus area it's always bright and always full of people, so there aren't really any big chances for like any funny business, as Sharapova said.
Yep. Excellent. So, in terms of accommodation, just to reiterate what the girls have said is there are different options. So there's a shared apartment option, there is homestays, there are private rentals, and there are also hostels. So hostels are generally very similar to what Vidya was mentioning. It's called costs here. So it's like a hostel, but it's a budget-friendly accommodation that is actually quite comfortable. And a lot of our students actually live in this kind of hostel type. So they're much lower in cost. When choosing accommodation, generally you look at proximity. So the further you live, as in any city, the further you live, it becomes less costly. So the university is located smack bang in the city. It's very central. It's located in one of the largest shopping centers, not only in Indonesia but in the Southern Hemisphere. So it's a large shopping center. We take up 2 floors, and we are located prime location. So some of our students do tend to stay close to the campus, or some do live a little bit further. Some do have families and they live with their families. So there are options. This is a typical middle tier that costs around between $500 to $600 a month. So it's a middle tier, it's self-contained, it's got fully self-contained, and it's got facilities like swimming pool and all that. So it's really affordable, but it's also very, very comfortable. And this will be approximate 15-20 minutes from a central city. So it's great, it's comfortable, and it's affordable. But one more thing to add, I know a lot of students will ask me this question: how do I figure out accommodation? We have a team. We have a Surabaya team, a local team that assists and support, and they will guide you through the process. So it's not as complicated, but we'll be able to assist you, provide you with information prior to your arrival, and when you come in, we'll go through the whole process in terms of accommodation. So we are well versed. We do have 3 international students. The 3 international students as from India, from Samrudi. We've got a Filipino student, and we also got a Pakistani student. And we just accepted 2 more acceptances coming for September intake from Vietnam and from Pakistan again. So we have students interested in coming to us, and we have the support team to assist and support students coming to Surabaya. Now, Western Sydney University is located, as mentioned, prime located. Uh, and it takes up 2 floors. Actually, we were driving today. I'm in Surabaya at the moment, and I was driving, and we seen our big sign. It's just our new sign has come up, Western Sydney University, right top of the building, as you can see it there. So we take 2 floors. It literally mirrors Parramatta Campus City. So if you've ever been to a vertical campus in Parramatta, it actually has all the hallmarks and the trademarks as in the city of Parramatta. The difference is it's got the cultural touch, right? So it's very innovative university. It has the facilities, and it's brand new. In fact, we still have the brand new smell when we walk into our campus every day. This is how it looks like. Essentially, we've also got the stairways that takes us from the 35th to the 36th floor, lockers, community areas, kitchens, and state-of-the-art lab rooms and facilities we have. So it's also very communal. It has a lot of communal areas. I'll just quickly show you a video, and then we'll go through more information about programs.
We're open. Western Sydney University, Indonesia, has already welcomed its first cohort of students to our inspiring new campus in the heart of Surabaya, Indonesia. Students from across the region are now earning Australian accredited degrees in our state-of-the-art facilities. The campus offers a truly international education experience. It's our latest commitment to making a difference for students, partners, communities, and business through world-class research and education. Our Surabaya campus spans 2 levels of Pakuan Tower. The world-class facilities offer a future-focused, technology-infused education environment. Every one of our undergraduate and postgraduate programs is designed to prepare students for the industries of the future, with a strong focus on ICT, business, computer, data science, and data engineering. We're serious about preparing students to graduate job-ready with real-world experience. Our embedded industry learning program will include opportunities for internships and other forms of industry engagement. Our on-campus support for business also extends to budding entrepreneurs. Launchpad is our business incubator for students, startups, and high-impact entrepreneurs. Western Sydney University is also the best place to make our world a better place. We've been named the world's #1 university for addressing United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for the last 3 years in a row. The Surabaya campus demonstrates Western Sydney University's commitment to the next generation of leaders, championing Indonesia's economic transformation and priorities. It's a place for those students to learn, grow, and build lifelong connections, right here in Surabaya.
So we are located, as I mentioned, in central Surabaya, central Surabaya. But I just want to know that it's a new campus. So we opened in September last year. We have 27 students in our first enrollment. First enrollments come through for our intake, and we have 3 international students. We are looking at obviously expanding into more programs. We've expanded a few this year, coming September, and also expand to postgraduate. So we've got undergraduate programs in business. So you can see it's really focused on certain programs, but specifically filling up the gap and demand in Indonesia and globally. So these are the programs that we focus on. Is applied finance, business analytics. We do also have areas in computer science and also specializations within computer science and cybersecurity. And these are all programs that are high in demand, and it's also ACA accredited and also AACSB for business. So our business programs are AACSB. So you're getting a accredited degree, an Australian degree, in Indonesia. So postgraduate, we do have also the MBA, and MBA doesn't have a specialization. We have the Masters of Data Engineering and the Masters of Information Communication Technology. It's also recognized in Indonesia. As I mentioned to you, in Indonesia, it's a 4-year degree. They recognize our degrees for 3 years. So it's also not only an Australian accredited, international recognized degree, it's also a recognized degree in Indonesia. Now, the important dates to note this term is our semesters are generally 17 weeks, right? It starts in September. This year, it's actually going to be a little bit earlier. Our orientation starts on 20th of August, and we start on the 25th of August this year. So it's a little slightly earlier. It's a 17-week program. You complete around June, and you can start, if you come into Australia, you can cut straight after in the second semester. This is the most important part of the presentation. Why? Because this is the fees. You get to know the scholarships. You get to know a little bit more about the entry point of the degree. So the entry point is exactly the same as in Australia. So there's no difference. So if you're coming from India, for example, it's CIBC overall of 65%. If you're coming from Bangladesh, it's a GPA of 4.0, which is an equivalent of an Australian ATA of 60. IB scores are 24, A level 6 out of 3 core subjects. And if you're from other parts of the world, Philippines, for example, if there's any Filipino agents or students, it's an 85% minimum mark. So this entry is exactly the same as you apply to Australia. So why there's no difference is because the academic requirements are exactly the same. You get the same degree as mentioned as an Australian degree. English requirement is 6.5 with nothing less than 6 in all bands, right? So fees. Generally, I'm putting it in Australian dollars because everyone knows they see the amount of zeros, they get a bit shocked and worried, but it's actually not as bad as you think. It is only 19,000 a year. 19,000 a year for a degree is affordable based on the fact that if you come to Australia, you will be covering a cost of between 36 to 38,000 a year, right? So you're literally less than 50% of the cost as you would be studying in Australia. Now, if you study Indonesia, this is the cost you pay. But if you study in Australia, you have to pay the fees in Australia. So, for example, if you do an Australian degree, an Australian degree in Indonesia, you only pay the 19,000 a year, or you pay a $21,000 for Bachelor of Data Science, or you pay a master's degree of 23,000. If you come to Australia, you got to pay the Australian fees. Now, the great thing about this is we're giving scholarships. And we just another launch. We are launching it. We've never launched this last year. We're launching it this year. We're giving a 20%, a 30%, and a 50% scholarship. We've not put a benchmark on the grade point average because basically we can also look at assessing students for 50 years with a competitive GPA, but with a purpose. Like if you can write a statement of purpose indicating that your grades are competitive and also the commitment to, obviously future goals, provide us with some evidence of your leadership or your drive or work ethic. So we want you to actually tell us why you want to have that 50% scholarship. If you do get a 50% scholarship, and at the moment we don't have restrictions in numbers, so we can offer, we're opening up to all international students since it's a launch. So it is advisable that you submit your application, you provide us with the SOP, and we be able to advise you whether you got the at least a 30 or a 50% scholarship. The 20% is automatic. So an offer letter, you get automatically a 20% reduction. So that brings down the cost to around 17. And if you get a 50% scholarship from a 19,000, it brings it down to, around a $7,000 mark a year, which is really, 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 really affordable. So that is the thing that I think it's very important to note, that we are launching the 50% scholarship. We may not have it next year. So there's no guarantee it's going to have here, but because it's launching it to international students, this is the time to apply, right? And really seek information with our team, our offshore team, as I said, Namrata, Kapil. If you're coming from India, also if you're coming from Nepal, Bangladesh, please consult them. They would be able to advise you what's next. You can apply directly, or you can apply through an agent. So we have measures in place to be able to tell students about application process, and also to assist you all through the way of the process and to come here, including visa. I'll tell you about visa in a minute. Well, I'm telling you about the visa now. So the submission of visa is actually quite, it's not as hard or stringent as the Australian visa. I can tell you that because there's a big difference in terms of coming to Indonesia with a student visa. And also the application process is exactly the same if you're applying through an agent or through applying directly. We go through a system called StudyLink. All you have to do is submit an application, look at Indonesia with the code as mentioned there. You can pick one of those courses. If you're not sure, come to consult our offshore team to assist you. And they will also give you the right agents to apply, because not all agents would know about our campus. So we want to make sure that you're giving the right information and the right consulting, and also given the right information to apply for your visa. Now, what we need from you essentially is all required documents need to be certified. So if you're applying directly, you need to certify, and you can speak to our staff about that. If you're interested in doing a 1+2, as I mentioned in my previous slides, you can get an automated 1+2 offer, but you need to let us know. So if you're interested in a 1+2 campus transfer, please let us know so that we can advise our admissions to be able to work on the 1+2 transfers. But do note, as I mentioned, you do need to meet certain requirements for GTE. There's no guarantee if you come to Indonesia that you can come to Australia based on the fact that you do need to also meet GTE requirements when you come to Australia. It is the regulatory part. If you're coming to Australia, you have to fulfill the conditions for visa to Australia.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
help you to Indonesia.
Yeah. Can I
Namrata.
add here, Ian, because there was a question in the Q&A box as well regarding the transfer. So they'll obviously have to show an expression of interest when they start the program with us, and then we'll direct them to the respective partner that we work with, and they can help you with the visa guidelines. For Indonesia, the visa is not as strict as Australia, so we'll go through the entire GS process when we apply for an Australian visa application. So we'll assist you, we'll handhold you throughout the process, so that's not going to be a challenging affair for you. So over to you, Ian.
Excellent. Excellent, Namra. Thanks. And just come in anytime because just come in anytime. Let me know if it's certain things I might have missed. So what we need is important documents. Is essentially it's really straightforward. And Samrudi, you went through the whole visa process, right? It was maybe just a quick advice on what you think on the visa process that you did because you obviously applied for the KITAS visa. Samrudi, do you have any other comments?
No, as you said, the visa for Indonesia, it's quite quick and not that strict. So there's not like much complications. So it's quite easy, the whole process.
Yeah. And just to add on to Samrudi's the efficiency and the accessibility to get the turnaround quicker. I think Samrudi was 3 or 4 days, right? It was not as long as it took, right? What was the turnaround? Can you remember?
Sorry?
The turnaround of visas when you got your approval was quite quick, right? Essentially
Yeah.
within the week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
within a week.
Yeah. So that means essentially if you give the right documentation, right, all the documents that are required, and we have an external entity, a provider that helps us with that. So and all three international students, we manage to get it within the week. So documents are required by foreign students to complete a semester or more of Indonesian education. They go through a student visa process. It's called an E30B. So upon students' entry, the visa will automatically be converted and the students can go in and out of the country anytime. This allows the students to leave the country anytime without a need of a visa. So this visa will last for 2 years. Then you apply for an extension if you're doing a 3-year degree. And we help you through that whole process. And we meaning the university helps you through that whole process, not the agency. Because basically we understand how the hallmarks around application to Indonesian government visa process. So we've done it already. We've got experience. Essentially, all you need is support documentation required, and our student services and our admissions help you through all that. You need to have an insurance, a copy of your travel insurance. You need to have a recent bank statement, a scanned copy of your passport, passport photo, a letter of guarantee for sufficient funds. They do need to have sufficient funds for travel and living, a letter of statement of financial support, a letter of offer, which we provide to you. You do need to have an unconditional offer. So if your offer is still conditions, then you need to meet those conditions before be able to submit your application for a visa. Your current CV, a letter of a medical check, so a recent medical check you've done, and basically personal information and data. The great thing about it is also you only need a bank statement of $2,000 USD, right? So it really is not a lot of money on a bank statement to provide in terms of proof. In terms of visa cost, I think it's between 600 to generally about 600 to a K, $1,000 AUD to apply for a visa to Indonesia. Chat with I don't have some Sharapova. Sorry, I didn't put in time to put your QR, but Sharapova Vidya and some Rudy, you can QR code if you want to talk to them even more. After this, we have a platform that you can message our students directly, and you can continue the conversation. So to ask more questions around living, particular living and academic. Um, we are also on social media. So Western Sydney University Indonesia. We've also are on Facebook, and we're also on LinkedIn. I'm going to keep it a few minutes so you can actually QR code it if you want to be following us, or so that you can get the most updated information.
Hmm. I also wanted to add, Ian, when we spoke about mobility, the visa is going to be only valid for 6 months for the mobility period. So in that case, if you are planning to stay back as well in Australia with Western Sydney, you'll have to apply for an EU visa. So you have to keep that in mind. We don't want you to get into a problem or get any visa rejection status when applying for another visa on your own. So make sure that you are contacting us, even if you go on a mobility program with us, so that we
Yeah.
can guide you and help you.
So in terms of internship, I was just looking at Kaba has answered it. So essentially with internships, you do have internships in Indonesia if you complete the 3 years in Indonesia. But you can also, if you're doing a transfer, you can actually continue your studies in Australia, and you can continue your studies with internships and also capstone. Usually the capstone's in the third year. So the programs are work integrated learning. So you do have to do part of your degree and integrate that with internships and capstone. So that is also to note. We are looking at, see, most of our students haven't even completed, they're just completing their first year. So we haven't gone into the second and third year. So that's something that will be more prevalent once they get into the second and third year. But as I said, the students can also come to Australia to complete that part. What are requirements to transfer? You've already mentioned that. As I said, 1 year you can complete in Indonesia and do the second 2 years in Australia. Um,
There was
Someone
a
has said,
question about
yeah,
agriculture courses as well. So agriculture, currently we have got few programs being offered at the Surabaya campus, but you can always look for an MBA, something related to data engineering, which is again very relevant to agriculture engineering students. So you can opt for those courses as well when you come from an agriculture background.
yeah. And do note, I know a lot of questions come around work. I can't work in Indonesia, but remember that in most Asian countries, you're not allowed to work. You go to Singapore, Malaysia, and a lot of universities have TNA campuses across Indonesia and Singapore. You're not allowed to work. So essentially, most students who do come to Asian campuses or Asian countries to study is more towards being able to get a affordable fee structure and get an international degree. You go to Malaysia, for example. Monash has a campus there. You're not allowed to work, but so they do complete a part of the degree there, to pay the local fees, and then they come to Australia to study. So it's a similar kind of concept. We're doing it because we want to provide that affordability to study in a campus with us, and possibly get a 50% scholarship, which is really affordable, and then come to Australia down the track. If you can't do a transfer, you can do a mobility. If you do a mobility, you can actually work for 6 months. So we want you to focus. We want you not to work, but essentially focus with an affordable part of not being worrying about the living cost. So that is the counter to not being able to work in Indonesia. But as I said, you could do a mobility if you can't afford to come to Australia, and you can work in Australia for 6 months because it comes under a student visa. Or if you're coming for 1 year or 2 years, you can work there. So, it's a pathway option. It's opening up an international degree, and that saves you money. So you don't have to do the long run. You can do part run or even a shorter run. So it depends on how you look at it. So the process is, as I said, with visa, I see a lot of visa questions. The process is similar to how you apply from India, right? So, or India or anywhere, whichever country you come from. Every country has different levels. So higher risk, you do have to provide GTE. So we can help you through that, right? So the team in India can help you, or you can go through an agent to help you. But essentially, if you come to Australia, you do have to provide the information and meet the compliance to come to Australia. But to Indonesia, it's actually not as stringent. So if you want to come to Australia eventually, this could be a way where you can come first, not you can continue your studies without waiting to complete your GTE, which has a lot more stringent processes in place, including funds, financial funds. So this will just quicken the process in terms of you coming over and then work out your GTE down the track. So this is also another way you can think of it as saving time and also accumulating enough funds to be able to come to Australia down the track. But our team can help you through that whole process in terms of GTE, if and also provide you with the agency to help you apply for visa when you're completing your 1 or 2 years in Indonesia to Australia. I hope that answered that question, but Kapil has already answered that.
Yeah,
Anything else to
there are
add,
quite
Namrata?
a few questions regarding academic requirements. We've told you about that. The academic requirements are the same as Sydney, because if you want to further progress onto the Sydney campus, we have to make sure that you meet the requirement for the Sydney campus. So the academic requirement will not change for any student.
Yep. With the validity of the IELTS, you have to, as I said, everything has to be similar to how in terms of Australia. So you have to complete it's a 2-year validity for IELTS. We do recommend that you also look at PTE and other English tests, but essentially IELTS and PTE are the two main ones. But do come to our team and ask questions like that. If you feel you want to have a bit more advice around English and academic entry requirements and stuff like that. So every country has different entry requirements, but essentially our team can help you.
Yeah, there's a
What's the age
question
limits
about
of masters?
married applicants as well. So we accept married applicants for Indonesia. So
Absolutely,
there's no
absolutely. So we
restriction as such.
do it's a similar. I think we got to look at but we can help you, no problem to that. And also another thing about age, right? In Australia, DHA does have a minimum age. Generally, it's minimum age, especially particularly around postgraduate studies. In Indonesia, we don't. So we just actually had recently we had a Vietnamese applicant who's applied for a master's and she's in her late 30s. So, and there's no issues with age to study in Indonesia. So just remember this, right? You're not applying with an Australian student visa to Indonesia. You're applying with an Indonesian visa. The requirements are vastly different. They're a lot more straightforward. They're a lot more streamlined, and they're a lot more quicker to get your visas, as somebody mentioned, within a week. I think with some of them were 3 or 4 days. It's just essentially you got to provide information that the requirements to meet the visa requirements in Indonesia, and it's straightforward, yes. They do want international students. Indonesian government is the reason why they're opening up more campuses in Indonesia is because they do want international students. They are supportive of international campuses in Indonesia. So, and we want to diversify our campus with more international students, and that's why we're doing this. So please do come to us for more advice, and we do have an amazing team, and you can tell our student ambassadors of the support that we have on campus.
Yeah,
It's a smaller group, but we'll grow. Now, maybe Vidya can tell us a bit about this support services that are provided. Open it up to any of you three to talk a bit about the support services. Thank you.
Well, because there are only 2 levels in the campus, and we are a very tight-knit, small community. It felt like everyone has my back, and I also have everyone's back. And because we met everyone every day, so I get to know all of their names, even the um concierge or even the staff and every of the students. We get to know each other really well, and it felt like I have a second family in campus just because we know each other so well. Like me and Sam and Sharapova, we don't really know each other before last year, but it felt like we are really close now.
Sharapova, Samri, anything to add? Are you good?
Well, if I can also add something there, we also have a few support services on campus. Like we have a counselor every Wednesday that comes in. So you can always find her if you need someone to talk to or you have some problems you want advice on. But we also have other options and other support services like there's a reporting system for domestic or sexual violence if that happens, but it never happened so far, thank God. And there's also Talk Campus, an application where you can, it's basically like X or Twitter, but wholesome. You can share your feelings or days or whatever you need to let out, and people will always reply to your messages and give you advice based on what you're feeling. And usually, if there are other support programs or activities, they will always be sent to student emails regularly. So you can always get an update of what's going on.
Namrata, Kapil, any more final comments before we finish up? We've got a few more minutes.
I think there are a lot of questions on entry requirements and age limits. In terms of GS criteria, we follow a different pattern for Indonesia, which Ian has already mentioned. So there's no age limit for an MBA student. For example, if you are only looking for studying at Surabaya, but that doesn't mean that will stop you from coming into a mobility program. So we'll still help you with a mobility program. So that is definitely there. We'll assess the documents in a different manner. It's not going to be like an Australian application. So there are certain rules that are going to be differentiated. But as we mentioned before, the entry requirements is going to be the same. So we will look at the same marks, the same IELTS or a PT score when you apply for an application for Surabaya.
Just really quickly also, if you want more information, as you can see the slide here, I hope everyone can see the slide. It's our Indonesia campus website. So if you just go to Google and just type Western Sydney University Indonesia campus, you'll come up to this website. And you can see chat to our Indonesian students. You can chat to our 3 students, as you can see, Vidya, Sharapova, and Samrudi. You can continue the conversation with them. If you click into them, you can actually register and chat with them directly. Now, we've also got a specific website that focuses on international. So if you click into international, it'll actually take you, it's taking a bit longer, but it'll take you to the international part of specifically for international students. The reason why we've created this web link is to be able to give you more information focusing on international students. And that includes choosing a program. You can go into UG and PG, and UG and PG will actually have handbooks of the course syllabus. You can also look at the international agents that are located, but please do speak to Namrata and Kapil first if you're coming from South Asia about the agents that we work with. It's very good. It's very important to find the right agent to be able to assist you and support you specifically to Indonesia. Now, our programs, you can see it as undergraduate. You click into programs, it will take you to the link on our business page about more information about the programs. We've also got a 2025 fees, and do note that our fees does not include scholarships. So please note again, we are giving 20%, 30%, and we're launching the 50% this year. Any more questions? Any more last comments? And we will finish up. Last comments from our ambassadors or Kapil or Namrata.
You may just let them know the deadlines to apply. That will be really nice. Yeah, yeah. And that we have
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Couple, I forgot about that. International students, we do, because of the turnaround of visas are pretty quick, we do want to open it up as long as we can. So we're looking at sometime in August. So if you're looking at submitting your applications, we do really like you to do it as soon as you can. Some may be looking at sitting for their IELTS if they haven't set for their IELTS or PTE. We encourage you to start looking at it now. We do want to encourage you to apply earlier because you're coming to a city that you may not know much about. So we want to encourage encourage you to come a little bit earlier. We do encourage you to start submitting your application, especially particularly this month, if you can, July, if you can, or latest in early August, so that you have enough time to apply for your visa, and also have enough time to be able for us to help you with your student part, accommodation part, because it's important for you to get accustomed to the life in Indonesia and Surabaya, and also to figure out accommodation options down the track. So we will help you through the whole process, but encourage you to do it as quickly as you can. If you haven't set for a test yet, do encourage you to do it now as soon as you can. You do need to meet the minimum entry point for both academic and English. And once you have that, you just cover the cost. The cost will be advised on the offer letter. And then you move on the next steps into including acceptances, visa application, and living in accommodation options, which we will assist and support.
There's a last question that I want to take. Ian, how am I supposed to apply in the course?
How we are going to apply for the course? So
Yeah,
the
so
application
for South
process.
Asia, obviously, they'll need agents' help, and I think for other countries, they can help.
Yeah.
They can apply
Do-
directly as well.
Do take, if you're from South Asia, do take Namrata's and Kapil's contact. We do have representatives all across Southeast Asia too. So if you're from Philippines, we have Pauline. We have also agencies. So go to the website. If you go to the website, it'll actually tell you the agents that you can apply for. So Indonesia, we have a list of agencies and also international agents. So let me just quickly show that again, just to make sure that it's clear. So we go to the international part, you click into international agents here. That's where it will give you a list of agents. But I would really encourage you to talk to our staff first, just to make sure that you're picking the right agencies to apply. It is in the list, but we have specific agencies that can really help you, that are focused and have the expertise for Surabaya campus because they have been trained to be able to assist. But our definitely offshore staff are the best people to go to initially. Or you can, I'm going to put my Kapil, can you put my email address too, please,
I'll put it in the
on
chat. Yours, mine, and
in the chat?
Amrita. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a question again where the student is saying, I'm from India. So you can always contact us and we'll let you know how to apply.
Yeah. And last comments also, if I can say to conclude, it's a great university. It's an affordable part of coming to studying an Australian degree. The community is amazing. The student community and also the community overall in Surabaya is amazing. I've lived in Indonesia for quite a number of I've done a 9-month stint. I've come here very often, and in terms of a shopping center that gives you access to literally everything, including cafes and including supermarkets. So the accessibility of living in the city and also having access to a lot of the facilities and community around is there. So I think it's a great place to live. And also being able to have that option of coming to Australia at any time is also a great advantage and benefit. So I think in that sense, I really would encourage you to have a chat with us more. And also I've spoken to quite a few Indian students also and telling them a bit. I've even done a phone tour at the campus while and showing the facility. So I can do a lot of that kind of stuff. So we can do a Zoom where we can be mobile and show you the campuses if needed. So we want more students. That's why we're doing this. We want more international students. And we do encourage you to ask more questions and let us know what we can do to help. And that's it. I thank you so much.